My name is Laura Rueda, and I'm the Communications Director for DataCite. Let me start with something important here, which is, this is all I know about chemistry, which is absolutely nothing. But I am a computer scientist. And I think that the basic infrastructure is communication and collaboration. So when we talk about infrastructures, we will always be talking about sitting together and talking with the experts in the area and the ones who are able to provide them infrastructure to work better. So if you ask me about chemistry, don't expect me to be able to answer you. So an outline of this talk, and I tried to go a bit faster because we're already a bit late, so maybe I can cut out 5 minutes. First of all, let's talk about the needs, what your community needs to work better, sharing data, what DataCite is and what we can do for you, how we can support you, how can we give you more details about the value and benefits of data publication, which are the core infrastructure and services we can provide you, and how you can use all that to create integrations, to move your advocacy further, and to generate communication actions. So you already know all this. Data is the foundation of research. And yet, most of the times, is treated as a second-class citizen. What's important are your papers, and data is just that thing you link somewhere, somehow, as a footnote or whatever, instead of making it as important as your publication. But this is not where we're going right now. Where we're going right now is a place, that mental place we're building is a place where data is as important as your publications. So we need reliable and unambiguous ways to access these data sets you're publishing as you're publishing your papers. And we're moving from something that looked like the Curie notebooks, something you couldn't really publish anywhere because there were like a big list of numbers written in a piece of paper, to things like what CERN is doing, extracting from the experiments raw data and digital information that you can easily publish. So how to tackle this problem? We need to provide probably 6 or maybe more things to make all this possible. The first one is technical infrastructure. We need to build this reliable underlying layer to connect everything. We need to provide support services, because it's not just about technology, but we have to apply to the real world and to the real need of our users. We need integration, because if we build a platform and we don't connect it to any other, it just lives as an island in the middle of nowhere. We have to provide adapted metrics to track the impact of this data publication and to help the community understand how important this is. We have to work with funding agencies, and I write work with funding agencies because I don't want to say something like we're nudging funding agencies, but what Philip was saying about NSF is also similar for Europe. The European Commission is already requesting data management plans and data publication for all their funded projects. And of course, the last thing we have to do is to provide training to our researchers. Because if we build a lot of platforms, if we provide a lot of infrastructure, but no one's using it, because it's problematic, because it's difficult to use, because it's bothering me, because this is not part of my research, no one will be doing it, and it will be mostly bothering them. So what's DataCite? Well, DataCite is an international not-for-profit organization, and what we do is we provide technical and community infrastructure for data publication. We assign DOIs to research data, and we will see what that is a bit after. We build and adopt services for data sharing. We integrate community services, and we help others integrating them. And we advocate for the importance of data publication. So a quick snapshot about what DataCite is doing. We have more than 30 members worldwide. We work with more than 600 data centers. And when I talk about data centers, I talk about internal data centers. I talk about repositories. I talk about websites. I talk about publishers. I talk about universities. I talk about everyone who's publishing data in some way. We have more than 7 million DOIs created in the last 5 years. And we handle around 7 million resolutions per month. So what's all this persistent identifier business for data publication. The same way when you publish a paper, you get a DOI, which is a persistent identifier, a serial number, like an ISBN for a book or a barcode for something you buy at your supermarket. You can also get a persistent identifier for every sort of scientific output you publish. And in this way, the moment you publish this data set, this piece of software, this working environment, this XML file, this whatever it is, you get a unique and long-lasting reference that you can use and others can use to cite your data. So it's not only about citing data, it's also about being able to find it. Because PIDs and DOIs in particular make easier to find and cite data. So what's exactly all this DOI business? DOI means digital object identifier, and what's digital is the identifier, not the object. So we can apply DOIs to physical things, to, I don't know, to a pot in a museum, or to a bio whatever thing in the middle of the ocean. So what's digital is just this ID that you use to point to a resource that is online or not. And what this is doing is, this is assigning an ID, a name, that it's unique, stable, persistent, doesn't change with time, and it's always there. I'm sure you've always seen this situation where you click on a link from a website and then it doesn't work, the site is not available, they moved it somewhere, and you're like, no, I really needed that and I don't know where it is now, right? So DOIs are solving that. They're assigning a name to a URL, and that URL can change. Your publisher can move from chemical combustion, whatever journal, to another name with another website, but those links will stay stable through time. And if someone's checking something in 10 years, that link will be working for them. Plus, the final thing is that this is already well known for researchers. Most of you're using this when you're citing a paper. So the moment you cite a data set, it will be exactly the same process. You will have that DOI that it's pointing to a data set, to a piece of software, or to whatever it is, and you will always know that that thing will be available for you there. So how does this work? It works exactly the same way as when you publish a paper, but in most cases, you can do it even yourself. So when you publish a paper, it's usually the journal assigning a DOI to your publication. But if you are publishing a data set through a repository or through a random website or through your university, you take this object, you describe it, and you describe it as well as possible. You give it a title, you say who's the author, you say when it was published, you try to provide a wide description, so if someone's searching for it, they will be able to find you, and any other information that you can provide that will be useful for your particular use case, and then you stamp a DOI. So everyone who's searching for content related to this particular field with these particular keywords will be able to find your data set, will be able to reuse it, and will be able to cite you. So you get this beautiful +1 to your citation list, and will move your CV further. So it's pretty easy. As you're citing publications, you can cite data sets, assigning with the assigned DOI. You add it to your reference list, and this will be unique, this will be persistent, and this will help your publishers, your funders, your universities to track these citations and to grant you credit. So a few examples of things you can do with DOIs. And I'm using here the generic DataCite search engine, but many repositories are doing the same. So it's not just working with us, but you can apply it to your local repository. You can use the metadata that is attached to this DOI and is describing it to be able to search, to filter by resource type, if you're looking for software, or if you're looking for raw data, or if you're looking for process data. You're able to search by data center. Was it this published via this journal, or was it this published by your local repository? And you're able to cite it easily. So instead of going through the pain of building these references using Word or typing this if you're using LaTeX by yourself, you can generate the references easily, which helps everyone, of course. And there are many other things you can do with DOIs. And one of them is connect them to your ORCID ID. And I don't know if you ever heard about ORCID IDs, but they are mostly the same as DOIs as for objects, as ORCIDs are for people. They are persistent IDs that go with you through your researcher's life. And they are just like your signature. So there are many people called the same. They're even working at the same institution. If you're called John Smith and you're working at MIT, you might not be the only one. And how would your funding agencies or your university search for you? Well, these will provide them a persistent way to filter content and to extract all your publications out of it. So as ORCID is providing you your automatic CV using DOIs, these will make your life much easier when you're applying for grants and things like this. There are actually many countries, I know, for example, Portugal is requiring this for you every time you request funding. But this is not only about people, about publications, and about data sets. There are many other pieces of information that are very helpful. So if you want to put together a list of authors, if you want to put together the institutions they were working for, if you want to build statistics, if you want to extract information, this is a place where you're putting all that information together, and it's enabling you to extract stats. And this is a nice example, the one on the top right. It's an absolutely random data set, but it has been cited by many others, even from things like Wikipedia or formal citations from publications or formal citations from other data sets are shown here if you have been using the DOI to cite them. So of course, this technical infrastructure we're building is not enough if you build a very nice infrastructure but you don't tell anyone about it. So it's just there and it's living there and no one knows about it. Or if it's actually that difficult, no one's using it. Or if it's actually that annoying that you don't really want to know about it. Because now we're going into this new situation where you're not only a researcher in chemistry, but you're also a computer scientist because you have to build your software, and you're also a librarian because you have to write a data management plan, and you're also, there's so many things researchers are required to do right now that are not part of their actual field, right? That life is becoming just like filling forms and not doing actual research. So one of the things we really have to do is to adapt these services and to make them easier for normal people to use, right? So if I'm talking to librarians, I talk them about how fantastic preservation is, all this metadata you can share, blah, 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 and you don't really care much about this. If I talk to actual developers, I will talk them about the API we have and how they can filter and Elasticsearch and blah, blah, and you don't really want to know about this. But when you talk to researchers, you have to talk to them about content quality. So if you're actually looking for information, you will be able to find what you're looking for instead of just like Googling around or just asking someone, do you know someone who's doing this? Because I don't really know them. You have to talk to them about impact and citation. If someone starts citing your data, then it's as important as someone citing your publications. And we're actually working with all these funding agencies to make that true. And when we are talking to those funders, we're telling them that this is another way to measure quality of research. So it's not just about a list of publications, but the quality of the data and the availability of it is another way to measure quality. And we're not doing this alone. Lately, we joined what is called, we're calling this THOL project, which is a joint effort where we're putting together not only the organization providing IDs, but also research institutions, and we have CERN, and we have EBI, and we have Pangea, but we also have real publishers like Elsevier or open access publishers like PLOS, and we're putting together all this persistent identifier infrastructure into real workflows. So if you're publishing with Elsevier, and you are uploading your dataset to Pangea or to Dryad, or if you are submitting something to PLOS, you will see that every time you add your ORCID ID and you get a DOI, everything will get automatically updated. You will see that if you're searching CERN's repository for the Higgs boson dataset, it's already there, and you can download it, and no one will request you any fees to get it, because this is all publicly funded research. And of course, all these will help you through your research process. So I highlighted two pages there, the Thor Knowledge Hub, which is a very nice platform where we're putting together a lot of small tutorials, and based on your profile, you get information that is useful for you, like how to get an ORCID or how to connect it when you're submitting your publications and your data sets. And we also have a dashboard, and the dashboard is tracking the use of persistent identifiers for data publication lately. So you will see that as the graph I showed you in the beginning, things are going fast, very, very fast. But at the end, if you also care about this as we do, feel free to get involved. Feel free to show all this to your students, because they will be the ones who will be publishing in 5 or 10 years, and they will need an ORCID to do it. And if they don't understand it since the beginning, they will be like fixing everything after, and that's not really needed. Or if you want your data repository working better, or if you want to get DOIs, just get in contact, because we're happy to help you, and we're happy to provide support to your developers to get this ready, or to your users to understand it. So that's mostly it. What DataCite is doing is developing technology and creating all this advocacy environment where everyone is moving in the same direction. We're trying to make sure that locating, identifying, and citing data is possible, and we envision a world where easy access and reuse of data is a normal thing. And to finish, this is a list of our members. We have big organizations everywhere, from universities to national research institutions, and even so private organizations, and we're growing as fast as the amount of DOIs for data we're creating. And that's it.